Hey guys, welcome back to Sad Dad. My name's Dave Abkarian. I am a comedian out of Fresno, California, and this is a podcast where I sit down with my fellow funny friends, my fellow comedians, and we talk about dads. Hi, how are ya? How's your week been? This last weekend I was down in San Diego, beautiful San Diego, at the Madhouse Comedy Club doing some shows. It was really fun. I have some family that lives down there. My aunt and uncle and my cousin Anthony live down there, so I got to crash with them while I was doing shows this weekend in San Diego, and it was fun. It's wild. My aunt and uncle bought this house. They bought this plot of land in San Diego and Pacific Beach, and they built this house on it, and they built it they designed it themselves. It's kind of this crazy box shape. I don't know. It's a cool house. I don't know that I would call it a beautiful house. It's not particular. I don't know that the architecture is necessarily aged very well, but it's really neat, man. And it was exactly, they built it in the early 70s, and it's I remember going there when I was a kid, and it's exactly the same. They still have all the same stuff. It's wild. It was just just a weird trip down memory lane for me, suddenly I was just 7 years old again, and in this house. And I mean, it looked exactly this. Everything looks smaller because I'm bigger now, but so it was neat to see them. And they're so not privy to technology in any way, shape, or form. I remember last week I called my aunt and I was like, "Hey, Auntie Peggy, I'm gonna, is it cool if I crash with you guys? I'm gonna be down there doing some comedy." And she was like, "Great, yeah. You know what? I have your parents' fax number. I'll fax them the directions right now." And I'm like, "Auntie, no, you don't have to do that. Just give me your address. Google will get me there." And she's so funny, man. And yeah, I mean, my cousin Anthony, he lives with them too. It was neat to catch up with him. And between the three of them, not one of them have a smartphone. It's wild. But this house is, and like I said, this house is so cool. It's got this big balcony that overlooks. It's like I said, it's up on this hill, and it overlooks the whole bay. And you can see the fireworks from SeaWorld or from their patio. It's so cool. And I had told them, their house is just a few miles from the venue, and I was like, I'm just gonna Uber, to the show there and back. And they're like, "Oh, no, we can drive you there." I was like, we can pick you up. And I was like, no, that's fine. They're like, "No, it's fine. Don't worry about that Uber thing." And they just did not understand what it was. And I was like, "But I'm not going to be getting out. I mean, I'm not going to be done. These shows run late. I'm not going to be done until 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning." And they're like, "It's fine. It's we're night owls." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And do you have any idea how embarrassing it is to be hanging out with your comedy friends and be like, "I gotta go, guys. My aunt is here to pick me up." It was really nice. It was a fun hang. It was good to see them. The shows are fun. My first set at the Madhouse was a little rough, and it was my fault because I was, and like I said, I had my 83-year-old aunt there to see me, and I got a little nervous about that. I got a little. I mean, it went well enough. I ended strong. I started strong and ended strong. In the middle, the crowd could take it or leave it, but I don't think it was their fault. It was me just not performing well. But the rest of the sets went pretty well, and I got to perform. It was neat. I had a bunch of friends there. Aaron Weaver was there as a past Sad Dad guest. He just happened to be there. Paige Weldon was there, and Alex Hooper are all friends. So it was nice to see all those guys. And then I came back to Fresno. We started a new Sunday show. We moved our Sunday show from Grog's to DeChico's. So we now have. We're trying to kind of consolidate our shows under one roof as best we can, because we do 6 a week, and so we were doing 6 shows over 3 venues, and it was a lot. So coming straight back from San Diego, 7-hour drive, straight into a new show. There's always a lot of anxiety when you start a new show, but it was good. The Fresno comedy community was real supportive, especially on that first show, and which meant the world to us. So. So that was good. The rest of the week was good. I had a bunch of comedians crashing with me the last couple of days. They just went home last night. So it's nice to kind of have my house back to myself after such a chaotic weekend. Abby's getting ready for school. She's gearing up for school. She's not super stoked about it. But she's going to be in third grade. So she's been practicing her cursive. Apparently they still do that. She was writing in cursive. I just walked into her room the other day and she was like hunched over her desk like with a notebook. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm just trying to get this A down, this cursive A. I was like, okay, if you need any help, let me know. So that's been me for this week. I have such a fun episode for you guys today. Valerie Tosi is my guest. She is a comedian and an actress, and she does voiceover work, and she was just so much fun. She really bailed me out. I had a cancellation, kind of a last minute cancellation a few weeks ago where I needed to fill 2 headlining spots, and we have a mutual friend who I've mentioned on the show, again, a previous Sad Dad guest, Anna Valenzuela, put Valerie and I in contact with one another, and she drove all the way up, also from San Diego. She was down at Comic-Con, drove straight up from Comic-Con all the way 7 hours to Fresno to headline a couple of shows for me. Like I said, real last minute. And Valerie and I had never met before, so that's always a little like, I don't know, and not necessarily intimidating. What's the word? Awkward? I don't know. Like, you're just like, hey, this is me. This is my house. You're gonna be staying here for 2 days. I know I'm a complete stranger, and I live out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I try to be like empathetic to like a woman's position in that situation. It's like, oh, this guy's a strange guy who lives out in the middle of nowhere, and I have to stay at his house. But thankfully, Anna put her mind at ease about that. So. But Valerie and I had a ton of fun hanging out. We watched. It was so hot the week. It's still hot. I don't know what I'm talking about. It was so hot the week that she was up. It was just too hot to do anything. I think we just like binge watched Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I don't even think it's not called Queer Eye for the Straight Guy anymore. It's just called Queer Eye. We binge watched that, so it was fine. She had a busy week. I had a busy week, so we weren't looking to do anything too exciting. And then we went out and did some karaoke after the show that she headlined on Wednesday. So yeah, it was just really fun hang. Had a ton of fun getting to know Valerie over the course of the time that she was up here. And this episode is so funny. You guys are gonna love her too. I listened back to it this morning and it was an absolute blast. So we slowly descend into madness. I mentioned that last week because I have to turn my air conditioner off when I record these episodes, so it just starts to it's 107 degrees outside, and the house temperature just slowly starts ramping up as we're doing this podcast. We're just so sweaty. So cool, guys. Without further ado, I've been rambling for way too long already. Here we go. Valerie Tosi. What?
I was at Comic-Con, like I said, all weekend and whatnot. My boyfriend was there too. And I'm like so happy to have some goddamn space. Just because you're like on top. It's just too many people.
Right.
And so he was he's like, I miss you. And I was like, no, you don't. And he goes, do too. And I said, forget about me. I'm one with the almond farmers now. And he goes, that's the most depressing text I've ever received, and I've been broken up with on Google Chat.
That's funny. She's gone full native.
Oh my god.
She's an almond tree now.
I've been reborn.
This broken slap bracelet. It's broken.
Tease that for sound instead of snapping.
Yeah, I'm just a Foley artist now. I'm quitting the podcast. I'm starting going.
Who was the person that sat here last time?
Oh, that was Stuart. Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, he's so tall.
That gargantuan.
You can put on the headphones if you want.
I didn't even see them. I'm so like.
Yeah, we've had a wildly unproductive day.
I even said that. I was like, I've been the laziest piece of shit all day, and it's been awesome.
This is your first time to Fresno? Have you?
This is my first time.
Yeah. Okay. What are your thoughts so far? You haven't gotten to see a lot of it.
It's what everyone told me it would be like.
We like being right on the nose. We don't vary. We don't like to drift. But it's just been so hot. It's so hot.
I know. It's funny too because years and years ago, I talked about this on stage when I was engaged. I was dating a musician. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I remember like some of his buddies. He's like, "Oh yeah, like we all drove down from Fresno tonight," and I was like,
funny.
"Why the fuck would you drive that far?" And now I'm like, "Oh, you had nothing else to do." I'm like, okay. I'm sure when we see the actual city, it's just because we've seen like literally just.
Yeah, we're gonna be in a cooler part of town tonight, but it's still really hot. Like it's almost like you kind of like almost like hibernate in the summer.
Yeah,
you know. And there's a place in Fresno. It's the Underground Gardens. I gotta stop playing with this stupid slot bracelet. The Underground Gardens. It was this. It's like a historical site now, but there was this like Italian guy that came over. He moved to Fresno. And he's like, it's too hot. He's like, I'm going underground, and he built this like whole underground labyrinth of and it's like it was his house. And
oh my god!
And they do tours of it now. You can go see this guy, and he had these really like innovative like. Cooling systems that he created for the time, where they're like these cone shapes, holes in the ceiling that allowed.
You know what I just realized?
Yeah.
That's probably what we're gonna have to do when the Earth gets too hot.
We're just gonna be mole people.
Yeah. We're gonna be mole people. We're literally like, there's gonna be no more subways. We're gonna use those as like that's where our houses are gonna be.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I mean, I feel like we're already kind of like moving towards like a weird like that whole like. H.G. Wells thing where, you know, with the what are they, the Morlocks?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like already happening with like Uber and Lyft and everything.
I remember that. What's that from?
I think there was the X-Men had the Morlocks too.
Okay.
But they were like underground mutants that were like too freakish to like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like, I think you're right though. I think that's the move.
It's gonna be so sad.
Just go underground.
I already look. I'm so pale. I look like that's where I've been.
You're already a mole person.
I'm like, it's my backstory.
That's funny. You've been doing so much traveling for comedy.
I know. Are we recording by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know we were recording. You tricky bitch.
I know. I have fun. We just ninja it right in.
I am traveling a lot, and it's been great, but you just get so burnt out at some point. You know, like you definitely need. Like, I understand why, like, headliners and stuff will do, like, a Thursday through Sunday or whatever.
Right.
And you have to have, like, those 3 days back in your own space because you go crazy.
Right.
It's just, like, it's so much. It's so fun, and I love doing it. And, like, my favorite part of comedy is that I've been able to see parts of the country I never otherwise would have gone to.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I'm a tired lady.
Do you have like a day job per se, or are you?
I do. I bartend on the weekends. Like I bartend on Saturdays and Sundays, and it's nice because I've been there. God, I've been there now for like 5 years, but it's great because they're super supportive of me, which is like I've never had that in a bar job before. They're always like, no, if you can't make your shift, like fuck you, you're fired.
Right.
But this place, like they're really cool about me being a comic and like. I will like not work for like 2 weeks in a row because I'm on the road or whatever, and then I'll come back and they just like as long as you figure your shit out, we don't care.
That's
like,
nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's clearly like a family-owned business. If that's
it's very small. Yeah, it's never
corporate America would never let you get away with
Chili's would literally just set me on fire.
We don't allow free spirits here. Yeah. That's cool. That's right. And I mean, because you're originally from the East Coast, you've been in LA now for.
I just had my LA-versary actually a couple days ago. I've been in LA 11 years. Wow. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
My stand-up anniversary is in 2 days.
Whoa, that's exciting too.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited I didn't book a show on it on purpose. It's like I'm going to celebrate by not doing any comedy today.
What are you going to do instead, do you think?
I don't know. It's a Friday, so probably not go out because I hate. Like when you work in bars and restaurants for so long, like the weekends it's amateur hour. So like I love going out on a Monday when no one's around. You know, the older I get, the more I just like retreat into my own weird little shell.
Is that why you're asking me about dive bars last night?
Yeah, that's my fucking shit. I want there to be peeling paint. I want it to smell kind of like a basement. You know, like I want there to. Oh yeah, like I want there to be a couple of pinball tables that like are kind of like it would be ideal if they were kept up well, but if not, I'll play them anyway.
Yeah,
take my money.
You're saying pinball's your jam.
Oh yeah, I love that. You know, just like a tabletop Pac-Man table.
Yeah,
and like. No draft beers, just bottles and cans. Just like.
I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't even know it existed, but there is this really, really shady looking bar that I found out is just a couple of miles from my house.
Oh my God.
It's out in the,
I love that that's close. You're like, it's just a couple of miles.
It's just a couple of miles, they're country miles too, which I don't know. I think that are longer miles. I don't know. I've never understood that term, a country mile. Have you ever even heard that term?
Probably just because you don't see anything on the way.
Yeah, that's
like last night, even when I was driving back from the venue and coming back to your place, I was laughing because I'm like, there are no streetlights here.
Yeah.
I was like, nope. Okay. Please God, don't let a cow run in front of me. I was like,
yeah, you probably wouldn't run into maybe a coyote.
Yeah, we have those back in LA and actually in Mass too. It's like one of those little fuckers that just ends up everywhere.
Yeah, they're all over the place. What brought you out from Massachusetts to LA?
So I originally was pursuing acting, which I still do, but I kind of I fell into comedy. Like when I left Mass, I worked. I'll talk about this on stage tonight. I was a 911 dispatcher for 3 years.
Whoa,
which is super random.
That's a really intense job.
Yeah, everyone's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. That's when people are like, stand-up's so scary. I could never do that. I was like, it's not the most scary thing. Like having somebody else's lives literally in your hands is like far worse, which is probably why I'm like, no, I'll do comedy. I don't care. This is fine. I can eat shit. No one will die.
Yeah, right. That's so funny.
But yeah, so I did that for like 3 years, and then I was starting to train other people, and they were going to send me to the Reserve Academy to become a cop. Whoa. And I was like dating somebody at the department, and I'm like, this is going to be my life. Yeah. Like if I don't leave now, this is it.
Right.
I was full time. I had benefits, and like my parents thought I was insane. They're like, you can't leave this job. And I was like, no, but I can.
But I can.
But I can. And nobody believed me when I was going to leave. So when I left to drive cross country, nobody was home to say goodbye.
Oh.
It's actually really funny because like I left, and that night I got a phone call from my mom, and she's like, are you coming home for dinner? I was like, no. I'm in Ohio. Like, no, I'm not going to be home. It's crazy.
They just think it's a big old goof.
Yeah, wow. They were like, no, you're not.
That's crazy. So what's that like? I mean, when you get there, you get to LA, and then what? Like it seems so scary.
It's weird because like I was just so excited to be finally doing it because I had a couple of false starts. Like I went to UMass Amherst for a year and a half, and I left. I couldn't afford it. My parents couldn't help me at all financially, so I couldn't stay. So I took time off. That's when I kind of got employed by the PD, and I was doing a ton at the same time. I was working at the police department full time. I was bartending on the weekends. I was part-time college student at a community college, and I was in community theater productions, like all at the same time. I was insane. Yeah. I think about it now, and I'm like, how did I not have a nervous breakdown?
Yeah, yeah.
But so I kind of I got accepted to a school. I got accepted to AMDA, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, and I was supposed to go. I had a roommate and like my deposit that was non-refundable sent in, everything ready to go, and my dad was supposed to co-sign my loan for me, and at the last second was like, I can't co-sign it for you.
Dad,
and I was like, fucking fuck, because then not only was I not going, I lost my deposit. So I was furious. I didn't speak to him for a while. And so, sad dad. And sad dad, sad child. But so we didn't speak for a while. And then I kept trying to like figure out how I was going to get out here. Yeah. Because I knew everyone's like, well, you could go to New York. I'm like, yeah, I could, but it's closer. And if I get comfortable there, I'll never go to LA. Right. Like it's too safe.
Yeah. So it's almost like just getting to LA was a victory in and of itself for you. Yeah.
When I drove out here, I had $700, and that was it.
It's not even first month's rent.
It's literally nothing. And I drove out, and I was it was my best friend had been living out here for a while, but she went back home for almost a year to help her sister who was having a first child. So when she was ready, we were both like, okay, when we're both ready, we'll drive back out together.
Right.
So then two of her friends came out who were twins, and so there was each of us in our own cars, and then a twin in our car. and we drove across, and it was nuts because I had like I literally just closed, computer, cat. Those are the only things I had in my car. My cat was fucking miserable.
Your cat's like, what are we doing?
I tried to sedate him because the vet was like, give him these like, it'll knock him out, and he was just like weirdly howling. It was the strangest sound I'd ever heard, and I was like, I can't do this to him again.
Yeah.
And then he was silent after I didn't sedate him again because he was like, no, I'm not taking that weird pill again. Absolutely not.
Oh man. And growing up in Massachusetts, I mean, what was that like for you? I mean, did it snow? I don't know. I know nothing about Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, we get crazy winters there.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, I love the East Coast. I really, really do. In a perfect world, I would love to be bi-coastal because I do really miss it. I don't miss the really, really bad winters, like in chiseling your car out from under a snowbank and like your gas line freezing and you can't even leave because your car is just trapped.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
But I miss the fall. I love going home in the fall. It's beautiful. The weather's perfect. And I miss like holidays there too. I miss Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and like all that stuff back east.
Oh yeah, that's great. And what kind of kid are you growing up? Are you?
I was a nerdy fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I got picked on really bad when I was a kid.
Oh really? So you weren't like the popular kid, huh?
No. I like tried to be. I think when I moved because originally. I was an only child for the first 7 years of my life. So it was just me.
Oh, yeah, you did a really funny bit about this.
Yeah, there was a huge age gap. So I also have a brother too. So my sister and I are 7 years apart. My brother and I are 10 years apart.
Oh, wow.
And everyone's like, you have the same parents? I'm like, yep, that's just how it happened.
Yeah.
And so, we had no money. Both my parents were working at GE. My mom also, that's where they met. And my mom also has kind of had like every type of job possible. She's worked in restaurants. She worked at an airline. She was a medical assistant. Now she like helps manage a liquor store. Like she's done literally everything. And we just had no money. But I had to go to private school because it was so dangerous where we lived. And like that's where all my parents like could funnel their money. It was just to keep me there just for safety reasons.
Right.
And because I didn't come from money like all the other kids in that area.
Yeah.
They because they were all in because the school was in Linfield, which was the town over from where I was from. So that's where like all the rich kids were. Okay. And so I got picked on pretty bad when I was younger.
That's a bummer.
Because I was really nerdy too. I had an old bit about it. I haven't done it in a while, but I was super like nearsighted, couldn't see at all. So, and I didn't get glasses until 5th grade. So I was squinting like crazy when I was a kid. So like and I had really bad buck teeth. So, and I had a lisp. So like everyone was like, oh, the little rat kid or like the mole kid.
Oh no, the mole kid.
Oh yeah, I really am like a mole person. Like, it's like it happened to me ever since I was a kid.
That's so funny.
Fucking awful.
What were you were saying you're a nerd? What were you into? Like what were you?
Well, that was the thing. Like. I did. I read a ton because that's really all I had. Right. I read a lot. Like I remember we always have those like weird memories that we remember that we're like, why is that the thing? But like I remember in 4th grade, my teacher was Mrs. Grant. And we did a thing called All-Star Readers where everybody had a paper baseball that you would like staple up on the board. Okay. You put your name on it. And every time you read and completed a report, you got a gold star. Okay. And so everybody, I think the goal was to have like 10 or something by the end of the year. Yeah. I had like 50 or something insane. I think I had 2 baseballs. Wow. And everybody was like, what is wrong with this girl? And because then I didn't really understand that it was cool or even like okay to be into like weird, like creepy stuff. Because I liked stuff. I loved the Babysitter's Club and like all that like silly stuff. And like reading like, Tiger Beat and whatever. Yeah. But I also loved Goosebumps. I loved a ton when I was a kid. Yeah. And I was super, super into the X-Files. Like that was my thing that I latched onto. And it's funny because my parents were really strict where they like, I wasn't allowed to watch 90210. I wasn't allowed to watch MTV. Like anything about sex I couldn't watch. Right. But we would all sit down and watch Ren and Stimpy together. which makes no sense.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then my dad and I every Sunday night would watch the X-Files together while my mom was at work, which is like a terrifying show to show a child.
Yeah, because their format for a long time was like the monster of the week.
That's
like,
and it was horrifying, especially that episode, Home, which is like one of I have a bit about that too, which maybe I'll do that tonight.
I don't think they don't even air that bit.
No, they aired it once and then banned it from TV.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And so like now I think they really only air it when they do like the marathons around Halloween and stuff. But it's such a fucked up episode.
It's kind of like it's like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but with more incest.
It's like all of the incest.
Yeah, like what is who? How did this? Okay, cool.
It's so great, but it's so wrong.
Oh, you were a band kid?
It was not until we moved, because there wasn't like a band or anything when I went to private school. And so when we moved, I remember my parents were like, because we were going to move in the middle of the year. So I kept begging them. I was like, please don't make me go to this private school anymore. I hate it. Like, I really just want to go to regular school. My parents were like, all right, well, for the half year, you can go to public school. And I was like, thank God.
Cool. Yeah.
And so I went, and also because the private school I went to was just all white kids. And then I went to the public school, and it was the first time I'd ever been around anybody of color. And I was like, oh my God, these people are so much nicer. Fuck these shitty white kids.
Yeah, right.
Like, everybody here is so much cooler. And then I had 6 months of that, and then we moved up north to like the most northern part of Massachusetts in Salisbury. And then it was back to mostly white kids again, where we had like 2 African American kids who were literally refugees from the Sudan that were there, which was crazy. But when we moved there, like, other kids were in band and stuff, and I was like, I want to do that. Like, I was like, the kids that I like kind of identify with the most, because they were all Beatles fans, because I was like a dorky Beatles kid. Like, my first, I know, like literally my first, the 2 first albums I ever had on CD were the Beatles' White Album.
Nice.
And MTV's Party to Go Volume 6.
That's so funny. I think one of the first CDs I ever owned was, it was the All That compilation album.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think I wrote in and won a contest at Nickelodeon. They sent me all that.
Oh my God. I also won a contest from Nickelodeon.
Did you really?
Because I used to read Nick Magazine. Did you ever get that?
Yeah,
absolutely. I remember I entered a contest, completely forgot about it. And then months later, I was young. I was probably like 9 or 10. And I got a giant box delivered to the house. And it was addressed to me. And my parents were like, what the hell are you doing getting a package? I was like, I don't know. And my dad's like, why does it smell like gum? They literally sent... It was like a year's supply of bubble tape.
Wow.
To a 10-year-old, I had won the goddamn lottery.
Amazing.
It was awesome.
Do you remember those commercials? Like when they would advertise like the contests and stuff? You're like, this is like the lottery.
Yeah.
Like, this is literally like all the greatest things a kid can think to get. And all you had to do was send in a postcard.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I miss, like, Nick Magazine was rad. I used to love it. I loved Nickelodeon in general. Like, there's so many good shows from that era of TV.
Right. Yeah.
It was really cool.
Now I can't stop thinking about the economics of how what do they get out of kids sending them a letter?
I mean, you think about it though, like, I mean, first of all, they're viewers, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so they're already getting the viewership because if they watch the shows, then they're subscribing to the magazines.
I guess so,
and if you're paying for a subscription, I mean, you send 1 box of gum. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like,
I'm sorry. You're right. There were some amazing TV shows on Nickelodeon. Yeah. Ren and Stimpy and all that fun
I used to love all that stuff. Rugrats, Doug, Clarissa Explains It All was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
But I remember too, because I do a lot of voiceover, and I had my first audition at Nickelodeon this year, and I was like walking in, and I was just like, don't cry, don't cry. Because it was just like, you see like all of your, just childhood memories everywhere. Like you see like Oblina and Crumb from Aro Monsters just like hanging around. It was just so cool.
Yeah.
It was really, really cool.
That is really, really cool. Oh man. And so you come out, you move all the way out here from Massachusetts. You're finally chasing the dream, acting. But like, at what point does comedy come in for you? I mean,
so I got out here in 2008, and like I said, I was pursuing acting, and I kind of fell into comedy a little bit because when I was working at the PD, so a lot of times I would work overnight shifts covering for other people, and so you're just like watching whatever the hell's on TV at all hours of the night. Yeah. So I would either bring in my box set of the X-Files and watch them in a creepy dark room, or I would just watch whatever's on. And I remember watching, there's some like documentary or something that we had Tina Fey, and she was talking about Second City. And I was like, what's that? And it was right when I was starting to formulate the plan to really come out to LA.
Yeah.
And I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's a training center like for sketch and improv.
Right.
And I looked at the locations and I was like, oh shit, like the original one's in Chicago, but there's a branch in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did before I made any other plans, I was like, I'm signing up for this class. So I was like, that gives me a harsh deadline of like when I need to get into LA.
Yeah.
So I signed up for it and I got to LA on a Monday and I started classes that Friday. And then I was there for years.
Wow.
So I did improv and sketch there and at IO for a long time.
Gotcha.
And I went through like I did their improv program, their sketch program. I did their long form. I did their musical improv program. I kind of did everything. I interned there too. It was really neat. They're great. I really love Second City a lot. And as a lot of people were like, I feel like you'd be really good at stand-up. And I was like, no. And it's funny because, I feel like a lot of people, especially dudes, when you talk to them that are comics, they all were like, I grew up on watching these specials and like, I knew when I was younger, that's what I wanted to do. And like, I liked comedy, but I was never that engrossed in it. And it kind of, somebody was like, I think you should just try it. And I was like, no. And then I was really stagnant in auditioning in my career and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And one of the alumni from IO was also teaching stand-up like at a creative space. And a friend of mine had done it and she's like, you should just take her class, it's really fun. I was like, all right, I'll just do it. And I took her class and people knock on stand-ups taking classes, and honestly it was the best thing I could have done, because I just needed the accountability of showing up every week, having to have stuff done, having writing prompts, and somebody just like giving you kind of a push of what you need to do. And even it just being around a small group of people that you were comfortable talking in front of. Because especially as a woman going in front of a giant room, mostly of men that are a lot of times not welcoming. They're talking about, rape and their dicks and like whatever, and it's of course a lot of women don't stay in comedy when that's what you're thrown in.
Fucking 50-year-old white dudes coming up and giving you like terrible gross tags like for all of you. You're like, I don't want this. Like,
or like you should only wear a skirt on stage. Shut up the fuck up. I know it's awful. And so I was really, really thankful and very lucky to start like that, and I kind of just took off doing it. Like I really loved it. And I remember too, like my first show outside of that, because I think a lot of people when you start stand-up, you think you know what stand-up is, and you think that you struggle with the fact that you should just be yourself, that a lot of people when they start, and myself included, you just try to emulate other comedians. And like I remember starting it and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm a woman and I'm a woman doing stand-up, therefore I need to be bitchy on stage. And I remember my first set, I taped it and I wore a dress, I did, and I like went back and watched it. And I was like, I hate this person on stage.
Oh, wow.
Like immediately I was like, I hate this person.
Like how profound.
I was just like, I can't, no. And I was like, the jokes are there, but like this person is not me.
The energy is all.
And so after that, and I kind of like started to figure out like who I was. And I was very lucky too, because I'd started an improv and sketch.
Oh, sure.
So I was comfortable on stage. I wasn't terrified. Like a lot of people, when they get on stage for stand-up, it's their first time on stage.
Right. Yeah. Oh, wow, okay. Cool. And then you just hit the ground running.
I started running a mic, which is one of the best things you can do when you start. Because it forces you up every week. It forces you to interact with other people.
And this is before Mermaid? Or... like you ran the mic.
I think I actually did. I'm trying to remember. They might have been right around the same time, because I ran the mic for about 2 years, and then Mermaid. So I run a show called the Mermaid Comedy Hour, which is an all-female show, and when I started that, it's so funny because I talked to one of my best friends. Her name is Jolene Lunzer, and her and I met when I was just started comedy, and then we both got into a comedy festival in Sacramento, and we were like, let's drive up together. We'll it'll be super fun. And right around that time was when we heard about the other festival. There was a festival in Texas that only accepted like 3 women out of 50.
Yeah, you started telling me about this earlier. Yeah,
and so I was like, well, fuck that. I'm going to start an all-female show and then not book any of the same women for the first year, just to prove that there's plenty of women. Mm-hmm. And so she was kind of my guru with it, 'cause she had been in comedy a lot longer than me. She's been doing it almost, 10 years. Uh-huh. And so I was asking her, like, how do you host? How do you start producing a show? Like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, What do I do? And I remember, like, that festival, our downtime in our hotel, the festival was horrible. We had the worst, like, it was so bad. But it was, like, such a great bonding experience for the two of us. When we found out about this festival and we got in a weird turn of events, both of our grandfathers died the same week of the festival.
Oh, no.
So weird.
That's awful.
So weird. And so we both were like, well, I don't want to let you down, so I'll go if you go, and vice versa. Uh-huh. So we ended up, like, she was close with her grandfather. I was kind of estranged from him. Uh-huh. And so we were both like, okay, so we're both in different headspaces, and we were just like, we're just going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we had a great time with each other, despite how, like, poorly run the festival was. But we were just, like, sitting in hotel beds, like, sifting through people's submission videos, and that helped me learn too, like, how to get a good tape, what you should send, what you shouldn't send,
right?
Like, how important it is to be funny right off the bat, or people aren't gonna watch it.
Yeah, so many. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so she was really instrumental in that, and she helped me book my first headliner, who was Jackie Cation.
Oh, yeah.
And after Jackie did the show, she's just one of the best people in comedy. She's so kind. And she emailed me after, and she's like, hey, I had a great time on your show. I talked to Maria Bamford. She's down to do it. Is it cool if I pass your information along? Literally after the first one. And I was like, what is happening? And I was like nerding out so hard.
Is it okay if I pass you? Yes!
Yeah. As I'm like screaming at my laptop, like, yeah. And,
that's amazing.
It was crazy.
Yeah, and then you were telling me 4 years.
Yeah, November will be 4 years.
That's insane.
It's nuts. So, because it was originally at I.O. for the first year, and then there was a whole scandal with the artistic director and, like, a sexual harassment thing, and I was like, well, not keeping my all-female show at this theater anymore.
Right.
And so I ended up moving it to the Improv. So it's at the Improv now. And about 2 years ago, I was running the show alone, and I loved it, but my friend Jolene, she was having a rough time. She was like what you were saying earlier, how you, like, when you're going through stand-up, there's weird peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
And she was having a rough time where she's like, I feel like I can't get on stage anywhere. She's like, I don't feel like I'm getting enough stage time. And I was like, why don't you come on as a co-producer to the show? You already were, like, instrumental in helping me start it. Yeah. Like, let's do it together. And it was the best thing I could have done, because it's so much fun. Like, I was having fun, but now it's, like, really fucking fun.
Oh, good.
And, like, we have really fun banter up top, and just, like, it's just a really great environment, especially for other women.
And having that chemistry with somebody, like a co-producer, is really, really important.
Yeah.
And when you can, kind of like, get a sense of each other almost intuitively. Like, I mean, it sounds like you guys were good friends before.
We were.
And so, that helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people tell us, too, they're like, you guys have such great chemistry on stage. You're so fun to watch together. And it's totally natural. We just have so much fun.
Yeah. Because, like, occasionally, Danny and I will get up on stage together at the end of the show. And we don't have good stage chemistry together because we're both just trying to. We're literally, like, fighting over the mic. Like, we're not, like.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
We're not.
It also takes time, like, in practice too, to learn how to, like, share the stage with another person.
For sure, and that is not Danny's MO by any means.
It's no stand-up comedians MO.
For sure,
we're like, always, give me the mic.
Yeah, I'm the star, and so for sure, having an improv background in that type of, because I've seen so much bad. Like, I mean, we've. And when I say Danny and I do that, it's at the very end of the shows sometimes, just to, like, send off the audience. But, like, but I've seen so much bad stage banter between, like, co-hosts. I'm like, oh, just one at a time, just one of you guys.
Yeah. Or you'll watch somebody that is, like, hogging it, and the other person keeps trying to say something, and they'll cut them off, and you're like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah, it's the worst.
But I would always, in a million years, I would much rather watch bad stand-up than bad improv.
Sure.
It hurts.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah. Well, Cool. I think we got a pretty good set. You're Valerie Tosi.
Yeah, that's me.
And this is a show called Sad Day.
I'm Valerie Tosi, who's been watching Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, the new season on your couch for the last 4 hours.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to create the illusion that you just blew right in the door.
Oh, just flew right in. Although we did meet. To be fair, we did meet yesterday. So I did just blow right in.
You're like a weird Mary Poppins. Yeah. Exactly. Except I'm a grown up and we're the same age. So it's
totally the same.
Exactly the same. So this is a show where we talk about our dads. And you have a dad.
I do have a dad.
You've mentioned him a couple times now.
He's a character.
Is he? I know. Yeah. All I know about him so far is you do the bit where you mention he has a mustache, and I'm already in love with him.
He is a lot. He is a very tall man. He is 6'4". Uh-huh. He has Coke bottle glasses.
Yes.
A Tom Selleck mustache.
Yes.
You guys could honestly have a competition.
Go. Yeah. I want to be his best friend.
He has he was in the service, so he has a big cobra tattoo on his arm.
Yeah.
He's very intimidating.
Uh-huh.
He just he's a scary man.
Yeah.
And I feel our relationship has been so interesting because I feel like with comedy, there are peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, like I said, I was an only child for the first 7 years. So I was very close with my parents. Uh-huh. And then you get older and you realize that your parents are 100% human and they are a goddamn mess.
Yeah.
And, because my mom, she went to rehab a couple times when I was a kid and there was just a lot of stuff happening. And so my dad was very, very strict with me when I was younger. I wasn't allowed to do you remember Y2K?
Oh, yeah.
I was not allowed to go out on New Year's Eve. My parents were those people that were we're staying in. We got all the canned goods.
Yeah.
Where everything's going to melt down. Because we also didn't have a computer. We didn't have a computer until my senior year of high school.
Oh, right. So this is all just magic and sorcery.
Yeah, they had even now, they just got the internet.
Oh, wow.
Everyone's like, what? I'm like, yeah, they are cave people.
Wow.
They don't fuck with technology.
Where did I'm sorry, I totally cut you off on your. Oh yeah, well, I mean, I'm sorry. Did you have more of the Y2K thing? I didn't want to.
Oh, it's just just it was very much. He was very strict and very, whatever. But then when my brother and sister were getting, when they were born and we were all getting older, he loosened up a little bit, but at the same time, I was still the first and I was a girl. So it was senior year, everybody was doing, I don't know if everybody did it, if this was a thing that you did too, but after prom, a lot of people would do sleepovers and they would be it would be boys and girls just doing sleepovers, but their parents were home and stuff. It wasn't, you know what I mean? My parents were absolutely not. But literally every single other person was all going and I just was nope, I gotta go home.
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't allowed to drive in cars with other people that were my age because they were terrified that they would get into an accident. So, but my parents refused to drive me anywhere. So it's how is this gonna work?
How do I be?
This is well before Uber.
I'll just ride my Razor scooter.
Right? Give me my mountain bike and I'll just go.
It's a 10-speed. It's a Huffy. Yeah,
God, right?
Don't get me there. Where did your dad grow up? Did he grow up in Massachusetts?
So he grew up in Beverly, Massachusetts, and he was one of 5. He's the second to youngest, and their dynamic is really interesting. On my dad's side, so I have a very large family, but it's all on my dad's side. My mom's an only child. Well, now we found out that she has a half brother, but up until then, she was an only child, and so all of my family is on my dad's side, and he's one of 5. My grandparents, my grandfather was an Italian immigrant, and I think he was born here. I think he they made it, and he was immediately born here because I think his brother was born in Italy, but he was born here, and then my grandmother was a farm girl. She was from Illinois, and they were very, very different, and my grandfather also worked for GE. And that's where my dad ended up working too. And it was just like they didn't have a lot of money either. They were raising 5 kids.
Right.
And my dad was a fucking menace when he was a kid.
Really?
He was a goddamn menace.
Oh.
Like he would tell us stories. Like one year when after the first snow, he went out in the football field and he like shuffled his feet in the snow to spell out "fuck you" in the snow in like giant letters. And that night it froze over and it was there for weeks in the field.
That's so funny.
So like he did that. He like on the top of his high school where it said like Beverly High School. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was the G in high school. He stole the G off of the school and hid it. It was a big scandal in the town. And my grandfather found it one day and was like,
on the property?
Yes. And was like, oh, we're bringing this back now.
Yeah.
And he's, the cops knew who he was all the time. He I know that he drag raced and then crashed into a cop car.
Oh my God.
I think like he was a fucking nightmare.
Where did that come from? Was that just being like one of the younger kids and
he got bullied a lot? You know, he got bullied a lot.
He got enormous.
And then he got because then he ended up playing football because he was bigger than, the other kids. But like, he was a nerdy kid. He was smart. He liked to read. I mean, I get it. He had like big, thick glasses, was just a dork. And his brother was like popular and whatever. And I'm not sure where in the social circles that my aunts fell, but he had a rough go. And so then he went to the service. And that like got him in shape and kind of yoked him up a little bit. Yeah. And then he came back and was working at GE, and that's where he met my mom. They both worked there. And my dad, oh God, he's like, we met in the Pats pool. I'm like, oh my God.
The Pats pool.
And my dad to this day swears, he's like, you were conceived in one of the service buildings. I was like, please God, stop. Please no. Please no.
Ruin this for me.
Like, fucking gross.
That is. I mean, you mentioned GE a couple times now. Is it like one of those things where like GE is like the industry in this area? Like, is everybody's parents working for GE? Is it like the factory place?
It's in Lynn. It is a big factory, but like, because GE's General Electric, if people don't know. And I mean, I guess like, I don't know. He was building airplane engines. Cool. Like that's what he was doing. And he just retired too. And I don't know. I guess a lot of people worked there, but I would meet other people that worked there too, but it wasn't like, because when we ended up moving up to Salisbury, it's like a 45-minute drive down to Lynn. So, it wasn't like the place that employed everybody, but there were a lot of people that worked there. But it is random that my parents met there.
Yeah, it's building jet engines.
Jet engines.
Yeah.
My dad's deaf as a fucking haddock now because he's
really?
like he has hearing, obviously, but like, one of the things that we would hate when my dad would fall asleep on the couch because he would put the TV up all the way because he couldn't hear it. Yeah. And we'd be upstairs and be like, we can't fucking sleep because the goddamn Red Sox game. Yeah. And you just hear like the dull roar of the crowd at like 11 p.m. And like you would go and you would try to turn it down and it would wake him up and you would get pissed because it was like he would fall asleep to it.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
You guys are a big sports family?
Yeah. I mean, you can tell by this. I have a Red Sox tattoo on my wrist.
You do have a Red Sox tattoo on your
wrist. It's so stupid.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, what's funny is a lot of people are like, oh, are you a bandwagon fan? Like, did you get that after they won the World Series? And I get to tell them the truth, which is, no, actually, I got it after the bombing. And everyone's like, what the fuck?
No, this is a birthmark.
No, this is Boston Strong. Like a fucking idiot.
That's
my
so
sister
funny.
and I, the sister that I don't get along with, we had that one moment of, we're like, we're going to do something together. Yeah. So we both got tattoos. Hers is in the same spot. Hers is a Bruins tattoo.
Okay.
And where we went was literally, so the town next to where we grew up is called Seabrook, New Hampshire. All you need to know about Seabrook is that there is a Walmart and a power plant. It is like, people glow in the dark there. It is so the dregs of society in this town. And so that's that's the tattoo parlor where we went. And so when we went, I told her, like, the woman what I wanted. And I wanted it to be like the size of a quarter. I wanted it to be really small. Just like a little, cute little thing.
Right.
And so she starts going in with the outline. She didn't draw it or trace it or anything at all. She just started going in with the needle. Ooh. And I was like, no, what are you doing? It's not supposed to be that. I was like, it's way too big. She goes, yeah, well, I can't draw it that small. And then she just kept going.
Okay, and I was like, go.
So here I am now with a 2-inch Red Sox tattoo on my wrist.
Yeah.
Which is, it starts conversations I don't want to have.
That's real.
You know, because like people, I'll be minding my own business, and either it's great because it's other Boston people and they're like, fuck yeah. Or it's people that are haters and they're like, fucking Boston, blah, 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 and they're just like, oh God.
That's definitely one of the, like, I'm not a big sports guy, and so like that's just like, that seems like a level of anxiety that sports fans have to deal with. That seems almost unnecessary to life, but I mean, I guess it is necessary if you're gonna love this thing so much.
Yeah,
but that seems crazy that people get really upset about a bee on your wrist, but I don't know.
Yeah, people are nuts.
Yeah,
it doesn't help that I also have a Red Sox debit card, so it's like,
really?
Yeah, so I'm like real trash, but everyone's
funny.
Like, you need to chill out.
Did you ever? I mean, I know you've. I don't know if it's jokingly or not, but do your parents have that accent?
What I do on stage, that is, their accents are so thick.
That's wild.
It's ridiculous.
Did you have it growing up? I mean, was that something?
I did, but I was cognizant of it young because when I grew up, we were right in the city. And then when we moved, you could still hear the accent, but it wasn't as thick. And I was like, oh, I need to not sound like that. So in my head, I think that's part of the reason why I'm good at voiceovers, because I have a good ear for it, and I'm like, I don't want to sound like that. So I like really worked to try to get over it, because a lot of people are like, oh, you don't sound like you're from Boston. I'm like, yeah, because I worked really hard to get rid of it, but it comes back real fucking quick, kid. Like,
how funny. Do you feel? I know you. Again, it's something you kind of mentioned just briefly, but do you feel with the gap you have between like you and your sister? Do you feel like your sister had like a different set of parents? You know what I mean? Like, were they like?
Yes, I think that they were a lot easier on her and my brother. I mean, by the time my brother, got old enough, I swear to God, I was like, I know you just handed him a condom and sent him out the door. Like, I know that's what happened. Right. But she had it easier, but she didn't, because she had a learning disability when she was younger. She had like a speech impediment. And so she had nobody could understand her when she would talk when she was younger. I was like one of the only people that could understand her. And so she had a tough time with that, and she was in like some special classes. And then I have a lot of guilt too for moving away, because I feel like I wasn't there for her when she was going through like junior and high school. And it's hard. Like, I feel really guilty about that, because my sister ended up, my sister has an addiction problem too. So, it was really tough, and she still struggles with it even now. Like, she still is kind of in and out of, going to rehab or whatever. And it's hard, because I hate that I wasn't there because we all feel like that, where you're like, if I was there, I would have seen it. I would have helped. I would have gotten her away from those people or whatever. And it's hard. Yeah, it's tough to, when they're an adult and they're, and you're trying to live your life too, like it's I don't know that was all your responsibility to, be there for her in junior high, but I get it too. My younger brother struggled with addiction, and it happens right under my nose, and I didn't even know about it until like a mutual friend of ours was like, hey, did you know Kenny was doing heroin? And I was like, what? Yeah. And that's same with my sister. That's what she was doing too.
It was just wild. And I was like, hey man, are you doing heroin? He's like, yeah. And I was like, shit. Like,
it's crazy how prominent it is, because it's so cheap. No one can afford anything else.
Right.
And they're making all these weird versions of it where you're just like, fuck, man. Yeah. It's so scary. Because when I moved out here, my sister was 16. So I kind of was just like, all right, see you later. And it's crazy. And then it doesn't help that like my mom also is an alcoholic. So, but I hate saying that word, because she will go through patches. Like, she's not fall down drunk every single day or like drinking at work, you know what I mean? But like, she also smokes a lot of pot, and everything kind of, it's the perfect storm of all of it. And my parents would fight about it a lot, because my dad, he smokes pot, and he'll drink, but he'll have like a beer with dinner. Like, he's not a big drinker. My parents would have a lot of fights about it. So like, we all saw that too growing up. So that's why for me, I was like, I gotta get out of here. But my brother and sister still live at home.
Ooh, yeah.
That's what's crazy. My sister's going to be today's her birthday, actually.
No shit.
Yeah, thank God I remembered. I texted earlier. But like, she's 20. What am I? 30? Yeah, she's 27. Mm-hmm. My brother's 24.
Yeah.
And they both still live at home.
Yeah,
that's
full house.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah. I mean,
I turned like the stroke of midnight on my 18th birthday. I was like, bye.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That's got to be. I mean, and does the household get along for the most part? You know, I mean, like, no.
Well, it's a real mixed bag because you've got somebody like my sister who's got problems,
right?
And she can't. Nobody's willing to give up their vices, and so it's a bad environment for somebody that has a problem like that.
Right.
Because while my parents aren't doing heroin, they're still smoking pot. You're still around like other stuff,
right.
and she can't be around anything. She can't be around anything. And my brother is kind of the scapegoat. He's a good kid. He's a really good kid. He works at like the Boys and Girls Club. They don't pay him enough money at all, and that's why he still lives at home because he can't afford to live on his own.
Right.
He did for like a couple months, and then his roommate screwed him over, so he had to move back in. And yeah, so it's just tough. Like there's a lot of fighting because of everything with my sister,
right.
and my mom like will go through her phases with her own stuff. And then my dad is getting like more and more crotchety as he's getting older. My dad voted for Trump, and now now it's like we didn't speak after the election. I didn't speak to my whole family for almost a year. Wow. And it was really hard because while they're bananas, we're all still close. Mm-hmm. But we didn't speak for almost a year. It was really, really rough.
That is wild. Yeah. And what's did you have any I know he likes baseball. Does he have any like fun hobbies? What's he do?
That's the thing is that I'm like, I worry about him.
Oh.
Because he's isolated himself a lot. Like he doesn't, he had a lot of friends. Like I remember as a kid growing up, he had like a core group of friends. And over the years, it's like eroded down to none. Oh. Where like he has like a friend that he made kind of recently that he works with now.
Yeah.
But like, it's just like it like hurts because I'm like I just want to put him in therapy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Where I'm like I love you and you just need to talk to somebody.
Yeah,
like you need to sit and you need to not be like judgmental about it. You just need to let it out.
Right.
Because I also know growing up that I was kind of his therapist. Like there was like a thing where I was the third adult in the house because of the age difference too.
Sure.
And so even now when I go home, I still refer to my brother and sister. I'm like, oh, the kids. Where are the kids? Yeah. And I can't break myself of it.
It's so wild. Yeah.
It's weird. And so, I remember just like driving along, going to the store, like going to, the grocery store. My dad would just unload on me because he had nobody else to talk to.
Right.
And so that's been tough too. Like when we didn't speak for so long, because I knew that my dad probably was keeping everything in too. But the one thing that we did and still really, the one thing that we share is that we both love music a lot.
Oh, that's cool.
And he never really played instruments. Like I think he like dabbled in it a little when he was young, but he has a really vast knowledge of music and of different kinds of music. He's a really eclectic taste. And so no matter what else, like we both can, bond over that. Like we'll always talk about what we're listening to. I introduced him to like Brandy Carlisle, and then like I had never listened to, Fleetwood Mac before, or like Zeppelin. And so it's like we both kind of go back and forth about learning different types of music for each other.
Well, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you were saying that your relationship's kind of been peaks and valleys. Are you guys, where are you guys at right now? Are you in a good spot?
It's like it's not good. It's not bad. It's kind of like the thing is, if we don't talk about politics, we're fine.
Sure.
But he loves to instigate and he loves to get my goat. So even though I won't bring it up, he'll just like, he's a button pusher. Like he'll just like, he has to do it.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating. So frustrating. Like I was home when I did that East Coast tour in May. It was my boyfriend and I, because he's a comic too. Mm-hmm. And I was really looking forward to him meeting my dad because my boyfriend's also from Boston, which is super weird. So I was like, you get it. Yeah. You understand like that mindset. You get that like working class blue collar, like, like we work till we die. Like that's like, and so he gets it. And he's very smart. He was a 8th grade history teacher for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And he taught literally like history and like pop culture and all that. So I was like, if there's anybody and he's also, my boyfriend's very tall. He's the same height as my dad. He's also 6'4". He's like a burly dude. So I was like, oh man, if there's ever a guy to put in front of my dad and just fucking watch shit happen, I was like, this is it. I was like, fucking go to town. And like, I remember just like sitting in the living room, just like watching the two of them sitting on opposite couches, going back and forth. Just like, and I was like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I was like, you know, dating somebody that has the same political views, challenging my dad to like be like, no, you're wrong because this is what's happening. And I was like, oh God, because you know, when it's you get so emotional and you get so frustrated.
I mean, there's like
angry.
a lot of dynamics at play. You know, I mean, that's like that. There's the dad dynamic, and then there's the large man. Like you're still a large man. That you know, I mean, that there's an intimidation factor there in and of itself. But when you have somebody that's like equal, you know, to like, I mean, that had to have been a very satisfying moment for you.
I was literally like, this is like I was like, I think he could beat up my dad. And I was like, this is my favorite thing ever. I was like, I could watch it happen. I was like, I'd let it happen.
Oh man. The only other thing I was going to ask you about before we get into the Dadictote thing is what do your folks think of your comedy? I mean, have they watched you perform?
This is yes, and to their you know, in I guess in their defense, they are very supportive, which has been so funny because I talk about them a lot on stage.
Yeah.
And they. My dad one day was like, you know, I bred you for this, right? I was like, what? Like, he's like, that's why I always, you know, gave you a hard time. And I was like, sure, Dad. Like, whatever.
You don't get to take credit for this.
You 100% do not get to take credit.
Yeah.
And so, but they're so funny because they'll like, we have a joke now, people that are back east, they're like, oh yeah, the Tosi draw. Because like I'll do a show back home and my whole fucking family descends like goddamn locusts.
Yeah.
And they'll come, which is great, you know, and it's very sweet. But it's funny because one of my favorite things that I talk about too on stage is my parents try to be supportive, but they'll do it completely wrong.
Yeah.
Like my dad, I was headlining for the first time back home, and my whole family came out, like aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody came out.
Yeah.
And the show starts, and I'm in the back of the room, and I'm watching, and my dad comes and finds me in the dark, and he's like, hey, I thought you said you were headlining this show. I was like, I am. And he's like, don't you go up first and you bring up all the other comics? I was like, no, Dad, that's hosting.
Yeah, it's hosting.
I was like, headlining, you go last and you do the most time. And my dad waits a beat and he goes, you mean we got to stay for this whole goddamn show? Like, you are the fucking worst.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Go sit down.
Yes, Dad. Yes.
Oh my God.
That's so funny. Well, cool. Well, I was... this is part of the show. We're asking for a dadictote. Did you want to think of any? What's your favorite dad story from growing up?
Oh shit! Favorite dad story.
And if you need to take a second to think about it, the miracle of editing allows you to have all the time you need.
Oh, you're right. You're right. They're not really like. They're okay. So they're not. It's not one particular story, but we. I kept as a comic, you keep a notebook. And in the first one that I ever had, I'd have a section in it called Tossiisms because they were just ridiculous shit that my dad would say.
Yeah.
So like some of my favorite things that he would yell over the years is my brother would always he would get furious at my brother for putting too much cream cheese on a bagel. And he would be like, Dylan, it's not a goddamn ice cream sandwich. It's like,
it's so funny.
Like shit like that. Or like my dad would be like, you know, he's like, you're going to love this. I bought a new leather jacket. You have to promise me something. I said, what? He goes, I want you to bury me in it. And I'm like, what? What? Like speaking, okay. The other thing he said too was, my sister was dating a really dirtbag guy. And my dad was like, told him, he goes, if you ever step foot on this property again, I'm gonna bury you here.
Whoa.
He's like terrified, but he just said like all these, like he had like, or he would rename things, like he would, the Home Depot he would always call the Home Creepo. So he'd be like, I gotta run home. He's like, I gotta run down to the Creepo and get some lumber.
Yeah.
And
that's
you're
so
like,
funny.
oh my God.
Yeah. It's funny because that's like a nickname, like that's almost one step removed. Where you're like Home Creepo, and then it just becomes the Creepo. You're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
like,
everyone's like, it's like.
It's like the Home Depot. And I went, what?
Oh, yeah.
How did we get here?
Or he'll add the word stench to something. He'll be like, gotta go down to wall stench. And you're like, what is wrong with you?
It's like the dad joke equivalent to like, I guess like a suffix. Like that's
Yeah.
like, he's speaking his own dad language at this point. Yeah.
Like the other thing, so my name is Valerie, obviously. And I was originally, my dad tells me this, and I don't know how much truth is to this, but he still swears by it. He's like, yeah, you were preemie, you were born in March, you were actually supposed to be born in April, and we were going to name you April. He goes, and he's like, well, that's what your mother says, but I wanted to nickname you Ape. I was like, you're a goddamn asshole. Like, just like shit like that.
Oh, man. Well, Valerie, you've been a delight today.
Oh, thanks.
If people want more Valerie Tosi in their life, how would they?
How could you not?
Yeah, right? How would you recommend they go about doing that?
Oh, you can find me on the social media, Valerie_Tosi, because some jackass says just the no underscore. It makes me so mad.
Yeah,
so you have to plug in that coveted underscore.
Oh, son of a
And
bitch.
you can find me on Twitter, Instagram. Don't be weird and friend me on Facebook. Well, I don't know what it is about Facebook that seems so much more personal, even though I never post on it anymore.
Right,
but I'm
right.
Uh.
like, website, ValerieTosi.com. You can check out all my show dates and stuff are on there. And yeah.
Sweet. I'll link your handle on the website now in the show
Cool.
notes. Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to turn this air conditioner on.
Thank God. I'm sticking to your
I
chair.
am so sweaty. And we're back. Valerie Tosi, everybody. Follow her on social media. She's her Twitter is particularly fun if you want to follow her there. She posts a lot of jokes. Her Twitter feed is or her Twitter posts are the ones that I look forward to the most. And yeah, that's it for this week. I meant to get some recordings this week with some of the comedians that I had up, but that just didn't happen. But I do have a real funny guy coming up next week. I'm going to try to sit down with and do an episode with named Corday Snell. He's out of the Bay Area comedy scene. And I don't get a lot of Bay Area comedians on here. Had a couple of Sad Dad fans reach out to me this last week, just with some real kind words. They reached out to me on Facebook, and I love that. You guys, sometimes it feels like I'm just shouting into the void, and to have you guys reach out every now and then and just say hey, and it just means the world to me. So cool. If you feel so inclined to do that, you can get a hold of me either on Facebook or the Sad Dad Facebook page or saddadpodcast@gmail.com. If you need, if you want to send me your dadictotes, I'm still doing that too. If you guys are interested in sending in dadictotes for me to read on the air, and that's it, you guys. Be cool, be safe, and I'll catch you next week. Adios.